This is the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. If you're interested in the intersection of real estate, blockchain technology, AI, and more, you've come to the right place. Don't miss your opportunity to attend the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blockchain Real Estate Summit podcast. I am Michael Flight, your host, and I want to welcome everybody. We've got a fantastic interview today. Sanjeev from Zoniqx. And these guys have been in the tokenization space, been proving what you can do with blockchain and putting assets on chain since 2017. They have a really remarkable story, and also when I had interviewed them, for a project that we were doing maybe a year or two ago, they probably had the most well thought out, platform that I had ever seen. They literally, every time I kept saying to people, well, you need to do this, you need to do this to make it work for real estate. Sanjeev and his partner, Prasant, figured all that stuff out. So it was a great call. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to the company right now. What I'd first like to mention is that the Blockchain Real Estate Summit is happening September 24th through the 26th, 2024. Get your tickets now. Fantastic speakers like Sanjeev will be there. We have actual practitioners. We have actual people that have done real estate tokenization. We have actual people that know what blockchain and also real estate and real world assets really mean. So with that, Sanjeev, why don't you give us a little bit of information about yourself, about Zoniqx, and a little bit of history as to how we got here.
Thank you so much, Michael. And first of all, we always looking forward to, participate in your summit, because that's one of the best events in the blockchain space, especially for the real estate, industry sector is extremely good. And it's well planned, well thought. And we love to, always participate. So yeah, that's, kudos to you. Thank you so much for, taking the time out to interview us. So my name is Sanjeev Birari, and I'm one of the co-founder and chief business officer of Zoniqx. We started way back in 2017, and I'll tell you little story about how it started. So I was speaking in one of the conference in Dallas. It's a real estate conference, and Prashant, who actually was already working on this concept, he came to me and he said, hey, what you talked about, because I have a background of managing investment management for the royal families. I used to manage, I worked in Dubai for almost 16 years. I used to manage the family's assets, and I've come from an investment management background. So I know how to deploy the funds and how to manage the funds as well. But how those funds can be effectively democratized by using technology is something I was talking about it. And Prashant had said that, hey, this is something which is possible with blockchain. And this is how we started. And guess what? We were not aware that, the space would take that long in terms of the adoption is concerned, because we started in 2017. And believe me, it took me 3.5 years to get my first paid client.
Right.
I closed the deal in 2020 Christmas time. And that was 3.5 years for us. Why?
Well, you were way ahead of the curve, because there was very few paying clients out there in 2020.
No, and I don't have a shame to say that, because back then even the adoption was not there. The regulations were not very clear, and and it was first real estate client. I mean, the client was from Bay Area. He's actually managing almost 800 single family homes in different multiple cities in the US, and he always requires funds because he was a flipper. I mean, he always buys some rundown homes and then put $20,000-$30,000 and then sell it for $100,000 by buying $40,000-$50,000 a deal, right? So
Right.
He always requires a cash. So we've suggested him, why don't you create a portfolio? You already have a history of 10 years where you given good amount of returns to your investors like LPs, and the LPs are enjoying almost 12 to 13% of a cash on cash deal. So why don't you create a Reg D 506 an exemption offering and push that deal and offer the tokens? And it took me 3.5 years to convince him that, hey, this is something which is possible. And then,
Right. Right.
yeah, but we did that. It was our first validation to our, the technology, what we built. So that's basically what the story is all about and the adoption is all about. But going back to what Zoniqx does. So we started a company called Realto. Earlier name was Realto, which is real token. And
Right.
because it was very specifically focusing on real estate sector, that was our first, thought. After Realto, we've changed our name to Tassets, which is tokenization of assets. And just recently, we changed it to Zoniqx. The reason to that change is because Zoniqx is like shares something like we are not completely into Web 2 or we are not completely into Web 3. So we are into middle of Web 2.5. And
Right.
we also wanted to kind of attract the Generation Z as well. So that's one of the reasons that we thought we should have something like a, name called Zoniqx. So we named that. But now
Well,
let
you
me tell
need
you, like,
big, you need a big TikTok channel and a big, you know.
yeah, I mean, just to attract generations, because think about it, right? I mean, that generation is going to be driving this space because people today, I mean, if I want to kind of like, really, I have $10,000, and if I give them an option of, investing that in buying something like $1,000 in Champs-Élysées in France, where
Right.
Louis Vuitton outlet, I can own it by paying $1,000 or $2,000, or a
Right.
Burj Khalifa of $2,000, or a Palm Jumeirah of like $2,000 in Dubai. I would love to have that, right? I mean, that's basically how, the space is going to be, turning out to be. So yeah, so we started way back. We are a company right now where we are actually focusing, more on the infrastructure play. So what we built is actually a chain agnostic and an asset agnostic platform. So any issuer today, be it a real estate, a issuer who could probably be a real estate developer or, or a mortgage, lender, they can use the whole tech stack. In 48 hours, they can literally issue securities. And these are securities, but provided they do have an understanding of the exemptions which these securities actually are being meant for, which is like certain exemptions of Reg D 506E, Reg D 506B, or Reg S exemptions. So you need to have those legal consultation prior to the issuance done. Then you come to Zoniqx, and Zoniqx can push that on chain in literally 48 hours. And to do all this, there are a lot of end-to-end processes which takes care of it, right? Like think about it, like when you're buying something on, say, Expedia, or a ticket,
Right.
a airline ticket. There are a lot of things happen in the back end. You get the best price, but there are so many things, that the Expedia's algorithm goes for all the aggregators and get you the best price. So
Right.
so think about it in this space as well. When you're going and buying a token, the issuer needs to do a lot of things in terms of pushing that particular issuance on blockchain. So the whole blockchain community, the ecosystem is building up right now. And we are the ones that we are the front leaders in that space. We are pushing this particular whole ecosystem in place so that when you come on chain, you don't have to, kind of only restrict yourself if you're issuing tokens on a Polygon chain. If what about a decentralized exchange, or or a liquidity provider is built on Hedera or on XRP Ledger? You don't have to create a bridge. You just have to use our standard called DICEST. And the DICEST standard, which actually enables you to have interoperability in between different blockchains.
Well,
That's basically.
yeah, we're going to get into that in more detail, but you just put out a whole bunch of information, and I want to go back to one of the things right when you said, Gen X and Gen Z, and you're trying to get them into the ownership society, and into the ownership, that they can own something as well, and give them cash flow. But I wanted to define Web 2 is what we're on right now. It's centralized platforms. It's like a Facebook. It's, like a Google and things like that. And it's also like your Charles Schwab or your man, I'm blanking on the Robinhood account.
Yeah,
So
Robinhood,
you
yeah.
get an account, you have an account there, people know what an account is. And so that's Web 2. Web 3 is like you get your own wallet, you're responsible for all your own stuff, and everything. And what you're saying, and this is what I really liked about your platform, is that most people don't know that it's blockchain in the background. They don't need to know if it's blockchain in the background. You don't need to know that it's TCP/IP and SMTP for email, or all the rest of this. It's a protocol. It's in the background. So when people come to the Zoniqx platform, they get an account and they can either choose to like be a DeFi degenerate, and go out there and gamble in Pepe coins and stuff, but not on your platform. But or they don't have to know that, and that's one of the biggest obstacles that I've found in the blockchain real estate space. Everybody says, well, what's taking so long for this? And I say, well, the technology is not there because most of the investors in our stuff do not want to mess around with a MetaMask wallet. They do not want to learn all kinds of esoteric technology terms. They just want, I see, a house there. I see, a piece of the Burj Khalifa. I got $10,000. I like the return. Boom. I press the button. It happens. And everything on the background, as you were just saying, they don't need to worry about what happens in the background because nobody worries about what happens on eBay or Amazon in the background. It just shows up at your door.
Absolutely, Michael. I think you're absolutely right. So think about it as so you don't have to create a wallet or knowing how to create a wallet if you think about offering what we are offering on Zoniqx, because just on the credentials of your Google credentials, you can just open a wallet and create a different wallet so that the wallet creation can happen on the background, just like on the wall, on the cloud, right? And then you can literally buy and sell any of your tokens or your ownership, digital ownership of your asset can be done. So this is how easy which we built this over the years, because and guess what, this is not what we have been just offering now. This is over the last 7-8 years, the whole experience, and we are still learning. I mean, I'm not saying that we have learned a lot, but we are still learning. The industry is evolving, and but we wanted to make it as simple as a generation Z can, or us for that matter, or our generation can just simply go and buy any share of any hard asset, which is a liquid asset.
Boomers, which have all the money, so you need to make it easy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. I totally get it, and that's one of the biggest segment of our industry segment as well, which actually they are now going to be thinking about approaching baby boomers, because they have a lot of wealth, and they know and it's a different asset class for them. Investing in multiple jurisdictions and cross border, it's very much easily available for them as well. Yeah.
Well, the great thing, speaking of boomers, is that there's going to be the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world, from boomers down to millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, and everybody else. And if some of that wealth is tokenized, it makes it much easier to do estate planning and everything else. Okay. So it's a benefit that people might want to learn about this. And that's one of the, because everybody, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but everybody, that I've ever met since 2019, when I first learned what a security token was. I was, helping people with ICOs before that. And they're all talking about, oh, we're going to get liquidity. And I'm like, I don't think really liquidity, you will get some liquidity, but what you get more is investor options. And the easiest thing is that for estate planning, this makes it really easy for estate planning versus, paper shares in somebody's file cabinet of a syndication that's, been around since the 1980s.
I agree totally. In fact, this is a very good point you just touched upon in terms of liquidity is concerned, right? Because people do think that, oh, blockchain can like literally revolutionize everything. It's not. It's not that easy. Today, even there are a lot of tokens have been issued. There are hardly few of them actually been exposed to the buy side.
Right.
And the reason to that is because the infrastructure is still building up. The the adoption is still just getting higher day by day. And what we've noticed after this is like 7-8 years of hard work and very closely working with the issuers, what we've realized is that there has to be a process today to connect the sale side and a buy side. And the buy
Mhm.
side is not only, one broker dealer. The buy side is not only one ATS or one decentralized exchange. The buy side consists of the entire, the family offices, the pension funds, the endowment funds. They could be, sovereign funds. They would like to invest in an offering which is in San Francisco Salesforce Towers, right, or which is coming up on chain, probably, right? I mean, in future, there could be, financial institutions. They would like to diversify their wealth managers' interest to, creating a different product for a digital asset, which underlying asset is a real world asset. There could be, a decentralized exchange. There could be multiple ATSs as well. So what we are working on it is to connect the sale side and a buy side with a simple connector.
Right.
Anyone who actually issues the sale side, a tower, a Salesforce towers in San Francisco, can get probably a notification on a buy side on a simple SDK, and they can connect and they can go back to the sales side and say, hey, I want to have these, issuance of 10%, 20% to my wealth managers, to ask them to, kind of sell it to their investors. So this is something which is, evolving. And this is a need of an hour, that which you correctly said. It's not the blockchain is not a magic wand that it can, just quickly get all these assets fractionalized, and
Right.
you immediately get a liquidity.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about, because you're using stuff that most real estate investors don't understand. The buy side and the sell side, and that's more securities and stocks and things like that. So the buy side would be like a sponsor issuing, or on the secondary market in the United States, if a sponsor issues shares, let's say in an apartment building. You mentioned San Francisco office. I'm going to say we're not doing that for a while, unless you're a vulture fund. It's going to take a while for San Francisco office to come back. But anyways, let's say it's like a self-storage, single family house or an apartment building. That developer, that sponsor issues the shares to that. In the United States, if it's a 506C, there's going to be a 1-year holding period where those shares can't transfer to non-accredited investors. But after that, this is what's really great for syndicators, is that it gets a new liquidity pool in, because those shares can then be traded by the original, purchaser of the shares to someone else that's non-accredited. So I believe, and if more people see this, that's eventually going to be a game changer, because it's going to train a whole generation of investors that right now cannot get into private credit, private funds, and private equity, whether it's, venture capital, or whether it's, real estate, or any number of these things. I just had a call with these guys that are tokenizing wines. So, and we, back in 2020, talked with a group that had tokenized whiskey futures. So, I mean, you could do all this stuff, and it's not available right now to your average retail investor.
Yeah.
But it can become available after that 1-year lockup period.
Absolutely. I think, this is, so think about it for the real estate, sponsors. This, even to sell the primary issuance to the buy side, you are creating a different, investor class for them, right? Today, that particular class was never exist. Why? Because this particular product was never even built. Now you're building that product, so you're creating a different investor class altogether. So think about it like you as a GP have multiple LPs, but now these LPs are going to be the investors who could probably have a different a product which is coming up for them to kind of invest in. And as going back to the secondary issuance, yes, secondary issuance would actually have a multiple liquidity pools for them to have a liquidity generated over the time. And that's one of the reasons that that's a best USP for blockchain, is actually to get this liquidity pools bigger and bigger, so that you actually can get the liquid for the illiquid assets, the most illiquid assets, which is real estate.
Right. And let's drill down and now put on our tech nerd hats. And you were talking about blockchains, and you mentioned some different blockchains. So with Zoniqx, is it compatible with a number of different blockchains, or is it strictly like an EVM chain or a Solana chain, or how does Zoniqx work? And does it matter, to anybody using it?
Yeah, this is extremely good question. The reason to that is because I always see this as there are a lot of blockchains, and there are almost thousands of blockchains actually, and there are more coming up. And I see I don't want to say this, but then I think this is completely is what my wish is, that you see, when the cloud started, there were so many companies of clouds, right? And then
Right.
right now, after like 5 6 years, you are only have like 4 or 5 big, cloud companies are there, like AWS or Azure or
Well,
Oracle, right?
and even
But
simplifying it, automobiles.
yeah,
It was like
yeah.
hundreds and thousands of automobile companies, and it's
Absolutely. And then the consolidation happened, right? And then
right.
only like 4 or 5, big companies have been there. So we see, this could probably be, the blockchains would head to that particular direction as well. In over the next 4 5 years, there'll be like, few of like 10 or 20, probably 30, good blockchains would probably be surviving. And they would actually be, industry and asset focused blockchains would actually remain there. So what we built is, is an interoperable platform, which is basically it can go with any blockchain,
Okay.
whether it's EVM, non-EVM, permissionless chain, or and that has to be like a simply plug in, plug out for them. Why
Right.
I've actually used the analogy of actually, because there are so many blockchains. So what we are connected with top, the blockchains like say Polygon, because we were the first one to mint, security token on Polygon chain in 2020. We
Okay.
have Polygon, and the second is, of course, we are very closely working with Hedera. And the third is Ripple XRP Ledger. And XRP Ledger is something which is they don't have smart contracts; they have trust lines. But because even though they've hired us and we have integrated our solution on their native chain, now XRP Ledger can also have offer real world assets on XRP Ledger chain as well. So that's one, and then the fourth one is provenance. So we are of course we are talking to a lot of other chains as well, but what our criteria is to actually make our DICES platform available. DICES stands for Dynamic Interoperable Protocol. So which
Okay.
which can connect with any EVM, non-EVM, smart contracts, non-smart contracts, permissionless chain. You don't have to create a bridge. It's a plug in, plug out. So that's
Okay.
basically this is how we work. And Dicest offers four major benefits in this space. One is, as I said, is interoperability with any chain. The second is it has a global reusable on-chain ID. And the third one is it creates, we because these are securities, we have inbuilt the global security compliance. What does
Okay.
that mean? Let me just simplify that. So today, if you're issuing any issuers in a jurisdiction which is US, then the SEC exemptions would get applicable. If at all, if your asset is in Germany, the BaFin is the regulation there. The BaFin
Right.
regulations would get applicable. If at all, if the asset is in Dubai, it is VARA regulations would get applicable. So we built the whole global regulations, on our, kind of a global Oracle compliance on our smart contracts. So based on the jurisdiction of an asset class, the global, the Oracle or the local jurisdiction of these exemptions would get applicable. So which is inbuilt in our platform called Dicest. And the fourth benefit for this is it connects the sale side and the buy side. That you don't have to completely depend on just issuing tokens, and there won't be any buy side up. But if you have a Dicest, then you can actually issue tokens and you can connect to the buy side as well. So these are the four major benefits which our platform, which is dynamic
Well,
interoperable platform,
I
which is
need
applicable.
to
Yeah.
stop you right there because I don't think most people understand the difficulty of what you just described. And most people are never going to see the difficulty of what you just described, but that's the biggest problem. That everybody's got their favorite blockchain. If you go on Twitter and say something different about one versus the other, you'll have like thousands of haters. And it's just really toxic crypto. Whereas, I look at blockchains as they're just like financial rails,
Yeah.
so you're either going to issue your security on an EVM, which is Ethereum virtual machine rails. I did not know that Ripple was now doing, assets. So that's extremely interesting. Like to talk to you a little bit more about that offline. Um, And you're solving a major amount of problems, because it's like this balkanized thing where nobody talks to each other, and you have to have these complex bridges and all the rest of that. And you're like solving a lot of problems there. And I do believe that that really is what's going to bring liquidity, because right now, as we talked about, everybody is like Solana head. So they're like really interested in Solana, but anything that happens outside of Solana, they don't care. There's other people that, are like, anything, I'm going to do it all on Bitcoin. And we can do things. And, there's infighting. And what I think is like, let's just look at this as a tool, because nobody, complains about using AT&T versus Verizon, except in terms of like, how much the cost is. And so that's really, delivering a superior product versus, I really don't care about the technology behind it.
You're right, absolutely. I mean, it's. I mean, why I explained you this is, it's nothing, because I can understand it. It's fairly difficult to understand for the common man in terms of these lingos and this, this whole understanding about so many blockchains. I mean, they shouldn't be knowing about all this. I mean,
Right.
it's the simple thing is that, okay, they want to they have an issuance of say $20 million building, which they would like to, kind of raise around, $10 million. They have a private equity, they have their own share, and now they want to kind of raise $10 million. Whether how do they use, a simple platform and make it as a Reg D 506, all to accredited investors, primary issuance available, right? That's the only thing they should be knowing it.
Yeah.
And we simplify that. We simplify that. We just have to tell them, hey, okay, this is what you have. You just take this platform. You can be up and running in 48 hours. You have your PPM. You have your operating agreement done. Just push that to us, and then we can be ready in 48 hours. That's what they need to know.
I still want to stress the fact that most tech guys that I deal with don't give this type of thought to serving the end customer. It's more about, oh, this tech is cool and we're doing it just because it's cool. I mean, what you just described, the degree of difficulty is like in the Olympics, the number 10 type of dive, and you guys have solved that problem. So that is very impressive.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So
Thank you.
If I wanted to issue, let's say, a resort property, because we're looking at issuing a resort property, one in Colombia and also one in Uruguay, what would be the process to list it with Zoniqx and going through that? And my other question is could I white label that so that I could create a landing page, do all my marketing, feed it through, and then it just works in terms of capital raising?
Yeah, we actually do the second thing. We don't have our own platform, right, Michael? I mean, we do it for you. So basically, and it's a very simple thing, right? You have you identify the asset. You know how much it is going to cost. It's around say just for example, $10 million, right? And then you want to raise the entire $10 million. What we do is we just simply go. First of all, you need to decide which jurisdiction you want to issue the tokens. Whether it's going to be Colombia, whether it's going to be US, all of this, right? You need to know the jurisdiction. Once you know the jurisdictions, we can tell you that, okay, we have certain partners who could help you out, to actually, kind of tell you whether it's going to be, if it is in Colombia, then what could probably be the security regulations in there. If it is in US, then we could tell you the security regulations in the US as well. Once that is done, it's simply 2 days or 3 days to get the PPM done. And after the PPM and the operating agreement's done, it comes to Zoniqx, and Zoniqx actually pushes this whole issuance on chain in 48 hours. It's completely up to you which chain you need to work with, whether it's EVM you want, or it's non-EVM, or we want a permission chain, which is like Hyperledger or Fabric or Visus, whichever chain you want, you just have to select that, and we can push that on that particular chain, and you will be up and running in 48 hours. Once you do that, once you issue those primary issuance tokens, then you do your marketing as well, or you could probably we can connect you with multiple the buy side networks. It could be ATS, or decentralized exchanges like Oasis Pro or INX in the US, or ADTX in Singapore, or Archix in UK. So we have multiple of these, kind of strategic partners who would probably be eventually interested in list your Colombian properties tokens on their platform to get more investors. This is how simple it is.
Right. And some of the times what we actually have been doing, especially with some of these resorts, since they're like more exclusive resorts, we're setting up like a British Virgin Islands company, and so it's that type of thing, and it really doesn't touch jurisdiction in the actual countries. So and that's a good strategy if people
Absolutely.
are looking to do stuff like that too.
Yeah, British Virgin Island, Cayman Island, these are, and they have very good, digital assets, regulations as well. I mean, they're very inclined towards, promoting digital assets within those jurisdictions. So I think, yeah, I mean, this is a very good choice if you have already set up in British Virgin Island. Yes.
Yeah. So let's go back to your original first customer. If somebody like what we've kind of been describing right now is I come in, my specialty is shopping centers, or we have a triple net property fund. We're also issuing a new debt fund right now. But let's say we put together and we come in and want to do like a marketplace, like your original customer. You've already built out marketplaces so that somebody can come in and see individual properties in groups and make those selections and things, correct?
Yeah, of course. We built redswan.io, which is, if you know, I mean, Ed.
Oh yeah.
Ed's, Red Swan has been built by us. The whole tech stack has been, the whole, platform has been built by us. And of course, I mean,
And he's like a real pioneer too. So you guys are
yeah, of course.
powering the pioneer.
Absolutely, yes. And Ed has been there, of course. And Ed knows, because Ed has been a commercial realtor all his life, like almost 20 years. He actually knows this space pretty well in terms of finding out the right asset, right? In terms of which asset, you should get on chain, so that you can get more investors. And I still remember my first meeting with Ed, and this is exactly what I tell to every issuer. Your work is, your domain expertise is to actually get the best asset, where we can, our best expertise in and what our domain is, to create and to get you the best platform to connect that best asset which you get on chain, to connect with this whole infrastructure and connect with the investors, because this is how we are building the whole infrastructure from the tech perspective. And this is exactly what I tell to Ed as well. When I remember my first meeting with Ed, and I told him that, hey, you are the best in terms of getting the best commercial real estate in town, so that you can list that and you can get, the best investors, to actually, through Zoniqx platform, to get connected with, most of these investors. So yes, we built, we almost have almost 6 to 7, use cases, which we actually are up and running today. We have built something in, for a issuer in Miami, which they work with PPP, public-private partnership model, with Miami State government, which is like a small $5 million raise. It's a Reg D 506 debt raise. They've raised almost around $500,000 immediately in 45 days. They've been even featured on CNN Live as well. About how successfully they've actually kind of raised this on a Reg D 506C offering. We've just entered in a German market, which is in Germany. We are launching a biggest asset management platform, which the announcement would probably coming in next month, is for the asset managers to build the entire, and it's a regulated platform by BaFin regulation. So and they have a broker dealer from BaFin regulation as well. So
well, let's say, because people might not know what BaFin is. BaFin is the local German regulator, which has excellent securities laws. It's similar, so they also comply with the European Union, but it's similar to like New York State laws, where in terms of like a lot of regulation of securities, New York State and California are probably like more stringent. So I interrupted you. I'm really interested in hearing more about the asset manager.
Yeah, so I think that is the biggest. So there are 4 big top asset management firms have come together, and they are actually building this. We've been working on this since 1.5 years now. We'll be launching that probably in next month. And that is the biggest platform in Germany, where the asset managers are going to be actually pushing all the assets on that particular platform, and moving that as a security on chain. So that's one is we are launching it. We have another one in in a Balkan region in Europe. We are also launching a platform for T blocks. The client name is T blocks. It's T blocks, which is again, they have pushing all these the best of the best assets actually on chain from T-Blocks. In fact, if you see the former President Trump's family has invested heavily in in Balkan region.
That's Annie and Henry
Yeah,
out there.
Annie Henry. Yeah. Annie and Henry is our client. Yes. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. So Annie and Henry's, in fact, I remember Annie and Henry met us in like 6 months back, and we actually have created the whole platform for them, and we pushed this whole, Balkan regions, built. I think we've already launched that, but I think they're going to be onboarding few assets now in next couple of months. So we are working very closely with them as well. So yeah, there are multiple of these, validations which we already have, and there are issuances that already been issued on chain with
Well, I keep
Zoniqx.
telling Annie and Henry that they owe me a trip over, to hang out,
Yeah.
on the beaches of Albania. So
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my ticket. They haven't sent it over yet, but
I'll be talking to them tomorrow, so I'll push that. I'll push that for sure.
But those guys have boundless energy. They're going to go, places. And what I really like, and that's why I interviewed them, is like, your average American, your average person doesn't even know that Croatia is a great, place to go. And so I was talking to somebody the other day in Europe, and they said they went to Greece. They said, oh, Greece is the old school place to go. You need to go to Albania. That's the new
Yeah.
Greece, and
Yes.
like, oh wow, how did you know that? So but that's there's so many like interests, and you're like talking about Dubai, you're talking about Albania, you're talking about all these different places. This is how small the world is going to become, because when I started out in the real estate industry, we only had phones and maybe faxes, and you had to fly to the town to actually take a look at, if you were, and you typically didn't invest outside of your town. I just happened to work for a syndicator that had about 270 shopping centers. And so you actually had to get on a plane or drive someplace and go there and see the shopping center to lease it or redevelop it. The really cool thing about right now is you can not only diversify your portfolio in terms of, I want to invest in multifamily, I want to invest in oil and gas deals, I want to invest because for this and that. But the other great thing is that you can diversify your portfolio for, even political risk. You can say, well, I don't want all my, assets in Illinois. I'm in Illinois and I'm getting all my assets out of Illinois. But but I also don't want all my assets in like one country. I want my assets,
multiple
really
countries,
wildly diversified. And that's, going to be dynamic for the next generation, that, Gen Z, those millennials, because, it's like, okay, I can either buy a house and put all my money into one house, or I could like take that, let's say the average right now is crazy. It's $428,000 to buy a new house. You could take that $428,000 and have it all over the world in really class A properties, or like coming growth stories, like, say, oh, I'm going to diversify a little bit. I know that Cape Town, you can get much higher, returns in South Africa. It's high risk, but it's like, I'm going to throw that in, and, that might be my venture capital type of high risk investment.
I agree totally. In fact, that's exactly what, the future is. And in fact, when I always say this, that, if I have an option, of investing in Champs-Élysées, if I have $10,000, I would probably putting $2,000 there. I would put $2,000 in Burj Khalifa, or $2,000 in, somewhere else, right? So, and these investments are definitely going to be keep coming in. And why do you think always, Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, always talks about real estate, right? I mean, tokenization, because I see that is because they are having the most illiquid asset, which is real estate, and they would like to make it liquid. And that's exactly what we see this, that this is something which is, possible through blockchain. Yes, it is taking time, but I think we are almost there for that particular, the peak adoption. And that's exactly what we've been seeing. The BlackRock funds is liquid, how, quickly they're trading, how quickly they're actually making these moves, and making it happen. So I think, yes, there is that the future is, it's not that there now, it's there, it's happening right now. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I'm just going to make a comment. Don't buy the BlackRock stuff because they're getting rid of it. Buy the stuff on Zoniqx because
Yeah.
that's the up and comer where you can actually make the money.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. I mean, buy the Zoniqx platform and make it available for yourself, yeah, and your investors. That's what
But
it
buy
is.
this, yeah, buy the stuff off there because it's going to be great. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you would like to go over? Because you've got, I mean, we could probably do another one, just with a demonstration to show all the like really cool
Sure.
stuff. But what else did we not cover that you think that we need to do?
I think we've covered most of it, but of course, I mean, as I said, the space is moving pretty rapidly, and I believe multiple asset classes are now kind of going to get adopt tokenization as for a real world asset space in real world asset space. And I think if you really wanted to kind of simply understand, of course, Zoniqx is a platform which you can actually make it available for yourself in terms of a white label or a private label, and you can just be up and running in 48 hours. And our biggest education in this space is that you don't have to know the technology behind it. You definitely need to know what the best asset which you can put in on chain, so that you can actually get the right audience on the investor side. Because think about it, that you are creating a different product altogether, and you're
Mhm.
creating a different product which actually, and but you're not supposed to be pushing the junk on on a chain and then expect that the junk would get the best attention. No, it's, if
Right.
you put the junk would come out. So you have to have a good product and an asset class. That's one of the reason that we always believe the success of this space is actually to get the best domain experts in that particular asset class. Like you said, that you're good in shopping complexes. You're absolutely, that's basically what your key expertise is. Then you can get the best deals of those shopping complexes on chain, so that you can get the right investors and make the right product for those LPs or these new investors to invest in it. And that's something which we have already built over the years. There's a lot of information which is available on Zoniqx, on LinkedIn and my social handles and all of these. If you follow that, of course, you will get a lot of these use cases. So I think the best way to learn, is to study the use cases which has already been Zoniqx has already deployed on chain.
Right.
So that you can actually get a real use case. You don't have to know the technology, because forget about the technology piece of it. I mean, it's very complex in terms of knowing things. So I don't want to talk about it right now. But yes, that's basically what I think. It's more useful for the audience, Michael.
So if people want to like get some more information about Zoniqx and meet you or meet the team and talk a little bit about how they could possibly use the Zoniqx platform or onboard, how do they reach you?
Yeah, we multiple channels. First of all, it's my LinkedIn as well. I think you could see the QR code out next to me. I mean, if at my back out there. www.zonix.com is our website. You just have it's a simple form out there. You can just plug, just push your information and it will reach to us. You will immediately get a Calendly link to book a call or a demo with our sales team. And the second thing is. Follow us on LinkedIn and our X. Zoniqx has a X, a very kind of a very archived information flow on X as well. And you can reach out to me directly. It's sbirari@zonix.com. SBIRARI@zonix.com is my ID. And or
Hold
just
on a second.
simply go there.
Hold on a second. We might take out your email because I don't know if you want a bunch of spam. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask the guys, you let me know whether you want that, but if you put it up there and it's on YouTube, you're probably gonna get a bunch of idiots
Okay.
sending you like Ukrainian wives and stuff.
Yeah.
So let's and we're gonna start up again now. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Sanjeev, what you just said is they can go to Zoniqx website, and that will be in the show notes so that you will be able to find it. There'll be a link to the Zoniqx website. Also,
right.
a good way to get a hold of, the Zoniqx people is go to Sanjeev's LinkedIn, and that will also be on our show notes so that you'll be able to, it's Sanjeev Virari at Zoniqx, and spell Zoniqx for us once again.
Yeah, it's Zoniqx.
All right.
Zoniqx.
He's saying the Z like a Canadian. So,
Yeah.
but
Zoniqx.
yes, but we're going to have that. We're also going to have their X channel up. So he just said that there's multiple loads of information there, and we're going to have everything else so that you'll be able to get in contact with them. But I really, really do appreciate your time today, Sanjeev. It's always great talking to you. I actually always learn something new every time we talk, so I appreciate it. Is there any closing thoughts that you might have? Do you guys have any type of reports or anything that you might want to give out?
Oh, in fact, sorry, I forgot to mention this, but yes, we have been selected by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte. So, PwC has actually, selected us as their strategic tech partner. So they are actually pushing our solutions to their clients. So, and we worked with Deloitte as well very closely. And yeah, I mean, all these, the big four consulting firms are started working with us. And we will be actually, in their reports. We are already there, PwC's report. So I think it's already online. It's public information. You can just go and Google it. Zoniqx and PwC. You could probably get it. But there are a lot of these, we are also coming up with our own report on tokenization, which would probably be published by end of August. And yeah, but I always, enjoy talking to you, Michael, because you're in a true sense, you're a godfather of blockchain, and the way you kind of simplify things, amazing. It's really nice. I looking forward to to your sessions or the big event which is coming up in October, which is Blockchain Real Estate Summit.
Yes, the Blockchain Real Estate Summit, September 24th through 26th. It's going to be 3 different time zones, 3 different days. We're going to have Europe, Asia, and the Americas like last year. It's going to be great. And we're going to have fantastic people like Sanjeev on, who covers the entire world. We can't keep them into one time zone. So I appreciate you coming on, Sanjeev. And we will
My
follow.
pleasure.
We will have that all in the show notes. And listen to this guy, how humble he is. He leads with they're certified by PricewaterhouseCoopers. They get to, good housekeeping, kiss of approval. And he saves that for the last. So hopefully people will listen to the end of this to hear that these guys are serious players in the tech space. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye now. As always, there's no financial advice in this podcast. There's no legal advice. There's no accounting advice. You should always check with any type of advisor that you need to make any type of investment decisions. There has been nothing discussed here about any type of investment. With that, we look forward to seeing you at the Blockchain Real Estate Summit, September 24th through 26th. Get your tickets now.
Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, hosted by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. Don't forget to sign up for the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback really helps increase the visibility of our show, allowing us to reach more listeners like you. If you have someone in mind you would like us to interview, you can go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com and leave a comment.
Hi, this is Adam Carswell, the voice of Liberty. This podcast is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, investment, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, accounting, or investment advisors before engaging in any transaction or undertaking. Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, which is a part of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit Network, Go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com for more information, free reports, and giveaways with free stuff. Thank you.